legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sister or of a race. It's the strength of me, it's the strength, it's the legacy, it's the faith, it's the history, unerased, of a sister or of a race. In my shoes, listen to my blues, I stand before you, resilient.
Hi, everyone. This is Levi with Unerased Black Women Speak. Tonight, I'm so excited to be talking to Coach Tash, and we're going to be talking about all things life coaching, astro coaching, and whatever else we get into.
Yeah,
how's your week been
a
so
lot
far?
of stuff.
Yeah.
My day's been really well, really well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, of course. I think first, life coaching is something that I've, known about, heard about for years. And I think maybe because of the pandemic, I know more and more people who are meeting with life coaches, hiring them, wanting to incorporate that into like their schedule and like their goals. So I just want to know if you tell us a little bit about how you got into life coaching. And then I also want to talk about astro coaching too, because that's something I had never heard of before we met. And I think it's fascinating.
Well, thank you so much. Absolutely. So it's like, the question is, where do I really begin with where I start with life coaching? And for me, I feel like I always have to start at the beginning. I decided that I wanted to be a life coach back in 2007 when I left the Air Force. But back then, I didn't feel like there was enough information on like where to go to get a certification, which schools are credible and what schools are not, kind of thing. And for me, it was always like in early childhood taught to me that education is really, really important. So I didn't want to just go fly-by-night school and be one of those coaches, right, that just shingle out and didn't actually make an impact in the world. And so I decided to get my bachelor's in psychology first before getting my coaching certification. And then when I did finally pick a school, I picked Mentor Coach because they focus on positive psychology. And I completely resonate with positive psychology. I started my coaching journey back in 2015. So I ended up not pursuing it back in 2007. And so here we are, fast forward. And coaching for me has made such like a big difference in my life. And I get really excited when I see the difference I make in other people's lives as well.
Yeah.
So does that answer the life coaching question?
That does. And I like how there was even a journey to finding your way to life coaching, like that 8-year gap between 2007 and 2015 when you went forward and found another way around. Like, maybe I should do psych. Let me figure out what this looks like. How has it been? Did you know a lot of other Black women in this life coaching space? Was that something or community you tried to find? And if not, what has your experience been like in it?
So yes, that's a great question. And my journey has been, when I first started, I should start there. When I first started with my coach training, I was the only person of color in my room. I'm like, okay, well, for me, I'm not unfamiliar with that. That is an all too common experience for me in my life journey. And I feel like that's not uncommon for me because I did grow up in a multiracial home. And I joined the Air Force and they put me in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And how many Black people do you really see in Cheyenne, Wyoming? So me being, the only person of color is like, okay, whatever, I'm kind of like used to it. But then as we fast forward to now, 2022, I see more and more Black women stepping into the coaching arena. And that makes me really happy. Makes me happy on so many fronts because I'm no longer alone in that regard. And I also see it as now more and more Black women are saying, okay, I too can be a coach. I too can be a therapist or whatever the scenario is, because I know growing up with my Black father, it wasn't okay to have a therapist, let alone a coach, because obviously I'm an 80s baby, so coaching didn't exist when I was a little kid. But as we fast forward in time, more and more people, Black, white, purple, brown, are like, oh, therapy is cool, coaching's cool. So I'm really excited to see everyone get on the self-improvement train And I was that person in the corner in the back of Barnes and Noble's hiding behind my self-improvement books because again, that wasn't okay. And now it
Right.
is.
So tell me a bit about Astro Coaching and why that lane. Like, what made you seek that lane within like this like life arena out?
Mainly because, oh, again, a lot of reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
The biggest reason is I'm really tired of being told what I can be and what I can't be,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Astro coaching for me, it's fun, and that's why I love it because
Yeah,
it's fun,
and that's the reason.
and that is it. It
Yeah.
is fun. And when I talk about astrology, people tell me, Natasha, you light up when you talk about astrology. And more people kept telling me that. I'm like, maybe there's something to this space for me then.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to do more research. But what really pulled me into taking astrology courses in the first place was COVID.
Mm.
And I
Okay.
know you're probably wondering why COVID, right?
Yeah. Well, why COVID?
So it was back November 2019. 5 different astrologers, 3 on one particular channel. My favorite channel on YouTube for watching astrology is the Astrology Podcast with
Mm-hmm.
Chris Brennan. And it was Chris Brennan, Kelly Surtees, and Austin Kopic. They were all talking about 2020, a possible airborne disease, a possible no hugging situation, and all these like crazy terms
Uh-huh.
in November 2019. And I
Things we were
said to
not hearing every
myself,
single day then.
what?
I said things that we were not hearing every single day back then.
Exactly. We were not hearing them every single day. And when we fast forward into by the time I get to 2020, before I even got there, I told myself, if something crazy happens in 2020, I'm just going into astrology full blown and taking courses so I can better understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we go. COVID happens. Here I am. I've already worked with over 700 people with just Astro coaching alone, not to include the additional coaching that I do, because I
Mm-hmm.
do other forms of coaching on top of the Astro coaching.
I love that. And I love how you said, hey, if this thing happens that all of these people I'm already listening to and like believe in, if that comes true, then this is something I just need to really take this interest serious of mine.
Actually, I didn't believe in astrology.
Oh,
I
I
was
thought
the
you were like
skeptic.
into it, but not like really into it.
So for me, it was really a matter of when I first started listening to astrology videos, it was at the time, if you would have asked me, I would have said, oh, it was a coincidence. It just popped up
Mm-hmm.
on my feed on YouTube and I was driving, I was listening to it. But again, I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah.
And so years went by where I was just listening, thinking, oh, they're going to tell me about me as an Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I know I'm quirky, I'm this, I'm that, whatever. And I kind of left astrology at it's psychological and it's going to character profile me. And that's pretty much what astrology was to me.
Right.
Right. And I didn't believe in horoscopes. Like, oh yeah, whatever. The stuff you read in the newspaper, sure, we'll see. And I kind of like always rolled my eyes at it, right? And then I started listening to these astrologers. And then I realized there was more to it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, so you're telling me there's more to astrology than just I'm an Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more to, well, this zodiac sign pairs with this zodiac sign, and does that match in relationships? And so I learned that it's a whole nother language. It's being able to, the language of the stars, being able to read the language of the stars, and it dates back 5,000 years. And so then I started learning the history, and the history really pulled me in. And so there's a lot of different nuances to astrology that I'm grateful that I decided to stick with and learn more about. Because if I
Mm-hmm.
didn't, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. If I would have just said, oh, it's just BS and it's not something I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm on the other side saying, hey, this stuff, it challenges me and it's intriguing and it's fun and there's some validity behind it, which I think is pretty interesting.
One more astrology question for you. You said you're an
Yeah.
Aquarius. What's your moon and your rising?
Yes. So my rising sign is Leo and my moon is in Capricorn.
So we have all different, our big threes are completely different.
What are your big threes?
I'm a Scorpio sun, Taurus moon, Aries rising.
Say it one more time slower. Taurus sun, Aries moon, and
Scorpio sun,
Scorpio
Taurus
sun.
moon, and
Taurus
then
moon.
Aries rising.
Aries rising. Nice. I think that's a great combo.
Yeah, you know, I like it.
Right? You like you.
One thing that we talked about like in our pre-interview that I really want to like add into this is that you said you were planning to relaunch your meditation channel. And I think that is one so cool because like I can't be the only one out there who maybe struggles with meditation and like my mind is just always very loud. And just how you made your way there from like the military Air Force background and then the coaching and then how you woven meditating into that too. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. Because my story is a complete journey and I just find it so fascinating. Even when I just look back in hindsight, I'm like, wow, I lived many lives in one lifetime and I'm not done yet.
Right.
So
more to go.
Exactly. Plenty more to go. And I went from the Air Force into my degree in psychology. While I was doing that, I was serving tables and bartending, trying to figure out, okay, I'm in my early 20s. Who am I and what am I meant to be in this world? And that's something I've asked myself a number of times as I moved throughout this journey. While I was serving tables and getting my degree in psychology, I had a boyfriend who was like, hey, why don't you go take a yoga class? I was like, okay, yeah, good idea. I will. Well, I took the yoga class, walked out of there feeling like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm floating on cloud 9, like I had just dropped some acid or something crazy. I felt so good. And keep in mind, I've never done acid, so.
But what you imagine it would feel like?
It was like I never imagined yoga alone would make me feel so euphoric. And then the next day I turned around and I signed up for a yoga teacher training. From there, I was at this point I was in Colorado, moved out to Indiana. I was teaching yoga class, and then one of my students came up to me after my yoga class and said, hey, Natasha, can you come to our church and do a guided meditation for us? Keep in mind, I have never done a guided meditation for anybody ever. My brain said no. My mouth said yes.
So now we have to do it.
Now we have to do it. I'm like, brain, mouth, why aren't you connected in this moment? And I always had this little voice in the back of my head, right? And this little voice just said, just do it. Just trust. And then when I was deciding, okay, well, now I've committed to leading this guided meditation. Do I research how to guided meditation? Do I do this? Because my brain is like going crazy now. That little voice in the back of my head said, just trust.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm just going to trust. So I drove my happy butt over to the church, walked in, and there's a room full of like 40 women. What?
Of course, this is the day that, of course, no one, like, everybody showed up. Like, you weren't.
Everybody showed up. Yes. And not only a room full of 40 women, but we're in, like, this open area. Everybody has yoga mats. Everybody's lying on the ground. I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this. So I just trusted. I trusted in God, source, universe, higher power, all these words that we can identify with as something that is beyond this physical world, right, that we can connect to. And the image that popped in my head was a garden. So I just started talking and I started guiding people into this space that I now refer to as the secret garden of connection. And as everyone was just lying there in their own meditative space and I'm holding space for this meditation, at this point I didn't know what holding space meant, found that out later. After that experience, all these women reported different experiences to me. Some people told me that they were able to connect to loved ones that had passed away. Some people connected to animals that had passed away. Some people connected to guardian angels. Some people connected to orbs. You name wow. And so my experience is to be the observer and to hold space for other
Mm-hmm.
people so they can connect to the other side, whatever that is for us, right?
Yeah.
And that isn't the end of my journey. So from there, I also got attuned to Reiki. And so I do live
Mm-hmm.
in between worlds, in between this physical world that we call our life, and then the non-physical worlds that I just call non-physical.
Mm-hmm.
So all of it kind of gets intertwined for me personally and professionally.
I love that. And that's the perfect segue to my last question for you. It's about the journey. Like, where do you see it taking you next? And where do you want to go next with it all?
Well,
Because
that's a
I
great
think
question.
sometimes the universe factors in what we want. Sometimes it doesn't. But
For me, it does.
okay.
For me, it does. I get big red stop signs anytime that I'm going the wrong direction. They're like, no,
Yeah.
doors close and close and close and close. And then I decide that, okay, I'm going to go in this direction. And then the universe is like, yes, all the
That's
doors
what I wanted.
open.
Yeah.
All the doors open. And I can see this cycle happening again in my life now. I'm
Mhm.
seeing doors closing. I'm like, all right. So I see the signs written on the wall. Now I'm what I'm meant to be doing and I'm being asked to do and what I'm actually doing. I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book of
Love it.
my what?
I said I love it. Love it.
What'd you say?
I
You love
just love to hear that
it?
people are like writing books or
um,
writing things. Sorry.
oh no, you're good. You're good. I'm really excited about this book because ever since I was little, I remember being really young and saying, I'm writing a book when I grow up. And
Hmm.
here I am, like, oh, okay, I'm writing a book. And for many years, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to be writing about?
Hmm.
And over time, it comes to you. So the book is actually a workbook. It's definitely teaching through story. So there's going to be story involved, particularly my
Hmm.
story. And then how we can take that story, learn from it. And then the workbook section is apply the knowledge and the skills to your life so you can change it in the direction that you want it to go in. So at the end of the day, it's a book of healing.
I love it. I love it. I'll definitely buy a copy.
Thank you.
Do you want to leave us with anything else?
Well, I'm really grateful to be a part of Unerased. I think Black
Mhm.
Women Speak is really, really important. I also want to throw a shout out to all my biracial females out there because, like, yes, we are biracial, but we're still a part of the Black community, and I'm
Mhm.
just grateful to be included. So, thank you.
I love it. Tell us, I know your website is coachtosh.com, which we'll put in the description on YouTube for those of you watching this later. But tell everybody else where to find you.
Yes. So on YouTube and on my website, it's Coach Tash, TASH.com, which is just short for Natasha. And email is Tash, TASH, at CoachTosh.com. And on Instagram, I believe I'm under coachingwithtosh.com because Coach Tosh was taken. Um, so it is what it is, right? And I do have a Facebook that I'm not very active on. I'm going to be jumping back onto Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Primarily YouTube because it is my favorite platform.
Perfect. Well, we will see you there on all the platforms. And I've really enjoyed this conversation. We absolutely have to do it again.
Yes, please. I would love to. Thank you so much, Levi.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.